Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we have another recap review episode, and today we're going to be talking about Teen Wolf Season 5 Episode 16, and the episode is titled Liability. Initially, I want to give you my thoughts, tell you a little bit about how I felt about this episode, and then get into the parts that happened, like the plot and action, everything that's going on in the episode. So I just want to say, I really love this episode. It just feels like every episode in this season or half season has just gotten better and better. I can't say how much I really love the show, but what I will say is that all the characters, there's something special about every one of them that I'm fearing at this point that somebody is gonna die, and I don't know, I don't want any of them to die, but I feel like, I don't know, in a weird way, I'm wondering if they're gonna lead up to that. Before I get into this episode, I want to tell you a quick thought I had, and maybe this might be. We see in the past half season or so, for whatever reason, I can't remember his name in the show, but his real name is Cody Saintgnue. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but he was in this last season, and they kind of built him up pretty high in that episodes that he was on. That I feel like I'm wondering if maybe he might be the Beast. He's a teenager. He goes to Beacon Hills. He was very strong. There was something like more to him than they let on. So I'm wondering if maybe they're gonna use him in a little more. That's just my thoughts. I'm just thinking like maybe he might be the Beast. If I remember his name or something, I'll leave it in the description bar. But I don't know. I want to know your thoughts. I really think that maybe he might be the Beast. That's just like far-fetched an idea, but let's now, what we're here to actually do is talk about the episode. So the beginning of the episode, we leave off of where last episode they're all in Icon House. There's the lockdowns happening. Scott's pack, Theo's pack, they're all in Icon House. They're all trying to get Lydia. They need the Hellhound. Everything's going crazy. So right now, or from the beginning of the episode, we leave off of where Parrish gets to Theo's pack, Lydia, and Dr. Valak. Because Theo needs the Hellhound for whatever reason, he decides to tell his pack to go after Parrish, but to no avail because none of them can actually take on the Hellhound. He's too strong. He's just too much. So much so that he consumes and fire like one of them at Corey. Corey gets bursts into flames basically, and Parrish tosses him. Unfortunately, Parrish tosses Corey onto Styles, and Dr. Valak and Lydia make off. Okay, they get away, or Dr. Valak does. At that point, Styles is trapped inside that area with Theo and the pack and Parrish. But Theo gets a spear or like a rod of some kind, and he throws it through Parrish, and the Hellhound becomes Parrish again, and he's like hurt and on the floor. And at that point, we're just left not knowing what's going on. Later on, we see that Deucalion and Hayden are conversing still. They're in that place like last episode where they're holding Deucalion for Theo. And Deucalion tells Hayden a little bit about her character, explains to her that she needs to not be afraid of being a liability to Liam or the pack. What she needs to be more concerned with is her ability to lie. And I think that's where they get the title Liability. Later on, we see that Theo gets up after being taken down by Dr. Valak. Him and Styles agree reluctantly to go together to search for Lydia. All the while this is all happening, Kira and Malia are in another part of Icon House. They're, I believe, in the morgue. They're trying to find a way out, but because Kira's generated so much electricity, Malia can't touch anything in the doors. She can't get them open, or at least try. She can't touch Kira because Kira is, she's like, there's too much electricity and like bolts coming out of her. Back to Styles and Theo. They're looking for ways, or for like trying to find a direction that Lydia was taken in. They go into the boys' shower room or locker or whatever, the restroom. I don't know what it is. Like the guys are in there taking a shower, and they look on the side towards the back of the room, and there's a place like a vent type thing or drain that leads into the tunnel. So we know from there that they're gonna have to go in there, and they're gonna try to sniff out or try to sense or find where Lydia's at. Back to Kira and Malia. Kira at this point is knocked out. She's on the floor. Malia's trying to figure something out. She was about to touch her, but Josh, who's a part of Scott or Theo's pack, tells her not to because she's going to get electrocuted. So Malia and Josh come up with an agreement that if Malia helps Corey draw some of his pain out of him in order for him to start healing, Josh would have to help Kira tone down the electricity. Reluctantly, they agree, and they're able to get the two back awake and conscious enough to help them. I see a lot in this episode Theo's pack and Scott's pack working together for the greater good. I don't know. I feel like I don't want them to like have Theo's pack and Scott's pack combined in any way. I don't think that'd be a good idea. But I do see that they're trying to like work together for whatever reason. So at this point, Liam and Scott are trying to figure out a way that they can get Lydia. They're trying to find out how they could get past the mountain ash because they can't get past those gates. And Scott thinks, let's go to Meredith. So they go find Meredith and wherever she's at, and she's still in her trance. But Scott is able to connect into her memories, into her mind, and she leads him to a place and where we see Lydia, and she's screaming, and Meredith explains to Scott that Lydia has to get control, or the screaming has to stop. Her powers have to be reduced because she's too dangerous. And she tells her that she doesn't have much time, that Lydia's gonna die, and her power, it's consuming her so much so that she's gonna take people out with her. So it's a really big fright right now. They have to figure out a way to get her out. And she also tells Scott that the only person or the only thing that can help Lydia is the Hellhound, because the Hellhound and the Banshee are connected in some way. So in order for them to help, that's what they're going to have to do, is get the Hellhound to get him to Lydia. He needs to be the one to save her. Back to Styles and Theo, we see that Styles still doesn't trust Theo. Theo's talking a big game as to why he can, or trying to make things seem as though they're not, which everybody knows. I mean, the viewers know. Styles knows. I don't see why Theo's trying to play this game like he didn't understand what he was doing when he was letting his sister die when he was younger. Just a lot of stuff that I think, a lot of BS on Theo's part. They both hear a scream from Lydia, and when Styles asks Theo what direction it was coming in, Theo tells him that it was coming from all directions. So they still at that point can't zero in on a place to find her. We see that Lydia is in some room, that whatever that little room is that Valak had that nurse the last episode. The nurse who was actually dead on the floor in the same room, but he has Lydia hooked up into some like stretcher thing, like a bed type thing, which is what she's on. Like right here, you can see like a little bit of like the contraption that he has her in. So we see Lydia's waking up around this part. I'm believing because of her pain and everything. She just is in and out of like being alert and stuff. So Dr. Valak at this point is continuing his plans, and he's putting like little things on like wires and stuff on her head, and he's trying to put that Dread Doctor looking mask on her. He wants her to be his eyes, essentially. He needs her to find out who the beast is. His reasons for trying to find this out, I'm not sure. Theo, when talking with Styles, admits that he does want to kill the beast. Styles tells him to break the pipe, one of the pipe that's running along the tunnels, because he'll heal faster. And he does so. When he does that, he's able to listen in, and he can hear Dr. Valak talking. And we cut back to the scene where we're seeing them. Theo's hearing them. And Dr. Valak, he wants Lydia to help him with the Dread Doctors. He knows that the Dread Doctors resurrected or created the beast again. And he knows that once, this is an interesting part, he says once the beast of Jevudan remembers who he is, the teenager whose body he's hosting is going to be gone. So I'm believing that whoever's body he's in will be killed, because the beast is going to like, I don't know how they're going to do that or why it's going to happen, but that's a really interesting part, because they're going to have to try to save somebody. They don't know who it is. Back to Malia and Kira and their scene with Theo's pack. They're all trying to get out, but they're still on lockdown. They can't get out. But Malia tells them, like, we have a man on the outside, and that's Mason. And Corey looks like really concerned, like, what do you mean, Mason? Like, how's he gonna help? So we see that Mason has a plan, or like he's plan B. So if something doesn't go right, that he's gonna have to do something with the electrical system on the outside. But it's funny because Malia says in the episode that Mason, he knows exactly what he's doing, and they cut to the scene where they show Mason. He's like, no, I don't know anything of what I'm doing. I need help. He goes, I don't understand it. The place I was supposed to go, I can't find it. The breaker box or whatever is like behind some wall, and it's just like he can't get in it. And it's a really, really funny part. We see that has it in his mind that he's gonna have to like drive his car into the wall in order to shut down that electrical system part, whatever he has to do. But he's in the car, he's like, okay, he's like, yes, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna drive my beautiful new car that my parents got me for my birthday into this wall. And he's really upset, and he's like revving his engine. He's ready to like crash into the wall, and then Hayden like puts her arm on his hand, and he freaks out. He's like, oh, thank God, can we use your car? And then she's like, what are you doing? Like, you can't go and ram your car into this wall. So they both like decide like maybe Hayden could help him. So Mason is looking at the blueprints, and he's looking at all those things that he has to do, and Hayden manages to jump up over the wall, and she's, I guess, in the area where she has to turn like 2 red levers down, but when she gets in there, she realizes there's 6 of them. So everything is pretty much changed, so she's gonna have to like they're both gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do. We go back to Styles and Theo and Lydia and Dr. Valak, and they realize that they're gonna have to get Lydia like out sooner than they thought. Eventually, they both get to her. But at that very moment, Lydia screams out loud again. And we're seeing at this point, because Dr. Valak was about to put that mask or that helmet, whatever, on Lydia's head, he's holding it like in front of him, and then they move, or he moves like the mask down, and like his whole face, like half of it is like ripped off. And so I'm assuming he just died. A little bit about that part reminded me of that scene in Breaking Bad where Gus gets exploded in the retirement home with Theo. And he walks out and we see the side of Gus and he's like normal, and then you look at the camera goes to the other side and we see like half his face is blown off, and then he falls and dies. I think like that reminds me of that part. But back to Teen Wolf and the scene. So she screams, Dr. Velik, what I believe, he dies. Styles is able to get her and they leave. Really touching part right there, but he's able to leave and take her with him. But Theo gets like this ugly little look, and he's looking, and you see, and the scene zooms in on that mask, and you're like, oh, Theo, of course you're taking that mask, aren't you? And we go back to Mason and Hayden, and we see that Hayden starts turning down all the levers because there's 6 and not the initial 2 that they had thought they were going to need. So she pulls them down, and everything starts opening up, all the places in Eichen House and all the doors and the windows, and you're seeing it open up, which is helping because they could actually get Lydia out and all of them can get out. So anyway, Parrish, he's on his way. Him and Scott and Liam, they're trying to make their way to Lydia. And a really interesting part is Parrish is able to walk through the gated area where the mountain ash is, and we find out that he's burning the mountain ash that's in the walls, which enables Scott and Liam to get through. They eventually get to Lydia, but at that moment, Lydia is about to scream again. Parrish walks up to her, and as she's about to scream, he like holds her, and like they both, like the flames of the hellhound just like engulf them, and it stops her scream. See that Malia and Kara, like they say, like, let's get to Styles' Jeep. All of them eventually make it out of the building, out of Eichen House, and they're about to leave with Lydia. Then, annoyingly, Tracy goes and she scratches Parrish on the back, and she's about to try to take Lydia away. And at that moment, Lydia's mom, Natalie, uses one of those, what are they? They're like tasers, like the long, like poles, like with tasers on them. And she's able to use that, and she goes and she takes out Tracy for them. And she's like, get my daughter out of this place. And so they're able to take her, and they get her to, they get Lydia to Deaton's office, so the animal clinic. And Lydia screams real quick. Let me go back a little bit. When they're in the car and they're driving to Deaton's clinic, Lydia screams, and it like shatters Styles' windows in his car, and he tells her like she's gonna be okay, and she's like, well, you're not going to be, and she touches him, and he's like bleeding out from his ear, so I think he's bleeding internally, so we have yet to find out if he's gonna be okay. So when they get to Deaton's, Ian gets like a syringe or something, and he packs her wound with mistletoe, which like pains her really bad, and she screams really loud, and it shatters all the windows in Deaton's office. And then she like looks like she's dead on the table, and Styles is like trying to get her to wake up, and he's really anxious, and he's like, it looks just like she died, and she has no color in her, she's pale, and it just looks horrible. So like I even was like, oh my god, did they just kill Lydia off? Like I can't believe that would happen. So luckily Lydia finally wakes up. I'm just so like relieved that she wakes up, and Styles looks relieved, and Scott looks relieved, and Deaton. And Lydia looked to the side, and she's seen her mom was staring right at her. So as all this was happening, her mom was probably like in shock and in horror, like looking, like thinking, like, oh my God, did her daughter just die? And so her mom goes in and she embraces her and hugs her, and Lydia tells her mom that Styles saved her. And Styles, he is like, yeah, I did. And he's like, he tells Dean, Styles tells Dean, like, I'm not paying for the windows, because they're like all broken and shattered. Towards the end of this episode, at the very last scene, we see Theo, and he's with his pack and Decalion, and he has that mask thing that Dr. Velik was messing with, and the Dread Doctors use, like that weird helmet mask thing. I'm not sure what it's called, but he has it. So he took it from Dr. Velik's office area, laboratory, nasty looking thing. He took it from there, and now he's going to try to find out who the Beast is. And that's where they leave us with this episode. I felt that this episode was super intense, super crazy. I don't know, like, I feel like so much is happening that it's hard to wrap my head around. I get so like speechless with how much stuff is going on, who's gonna do what. I'm wondering if with the Beast being in the school, I wonder if maybe something bad's gonna happen in the school worse than it has before. I don't know, I just, like, this whole episode has just been so crazy and so intense, and we see a lot of good, like, partnership, people pairing up to try to help each other's pack, and overall, I just thought this episode was really, really good. If you have any thoughts, please leave them in the comment section. If you have any questions as well. That'll do it for today's episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you very much, and until next time, bye.